Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa tabi'in ma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this session of inheritance. Inshallah, today also we will have a practice session before we move on to the next topic. And what I want from you, please, is to have a pen and paper ready and write down those cases, try to solve them before we move to solve them one by one. The first case we have is 3 grandmothers, 5 brothers from a mother, and 2 cousins. 3 grandmothers, 5 brothers from a mother, and 2 cousins. That's the first case. The second case, a mother, a grandfather, and 8 sons. A mother, a grandfather, and 8 sons. The third case, we have a husband, a daughter, grandmother, and 5 uncles. A husband, a daughter, grandmother, and 5 uncles. The fourth case, 3 wives, 5 daughters, and 7 full brothers. Again, 3 wives, 5 daughters, and 7 full brothers. Go ahead and solve these cases. Remember what we said in the previous session about the calculations, how we calculate the number of the heirs and their share. It has to be matched. The share has to be divided on the number of the heirs. If their share is 2, but they are 3, 2 is not divisible on the 3, so we have to put the 3. If it is 5 and they are 2 heirs, the 5 is not divisible on the 2, so we have to put the 2. Then we look at what we put aside, the number of the heirs, and we have to multiply it, as long as they cannot be also divisible. So that's what we mentioned last session. Go ahead, do the calculations now, pause this recording, and only play after you finish, because after that you will see the answers, inshallah. Now, we will solve the cases one by one. The first case, we have 3 grandmothers, and the first thing is to give them their share. The shares of the grandmothers is 1/6. Always. It's either one grandmother, she will take 1/6, or more than one grandmother, they will all be partners and they will all share the 1/6. Now, according to some scholars, there cannot be 3 grandmothers. But we said, according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, there could be as much as 5 grandmothers. They are all real grandmothers, meaning that they inherit. The false grandmother is the grandmother that has someone between her and the deceased who does not inherit. Any grandfather between her and the deceased that does not inherit, then she cannot inherit as well. Like what? Like the mother of the father of the mother. The father of the mother is not a real grandfather in inheritance. He doesn't inherit. So his mother does not inherit as well. So the 3 grandmothers, their share is 1/6. The 5 brothers from the mother, they all share 1/3. Again, the shares of the brothers from the mother, if it's 1, 1/6. If they are more than 1, it's 1/3. So they are sharing 1/3. So we have 1/6 and 1/3. Now the 2 cousins, they take the remainder. So this case, we have 1/3 and 1/6. The 3 is included in the 6. So the case is out of 6. The case is out of 6. The grandmothers, their share is 1. The brothers from the mother, their share is 2. So 1 and 2, that is 3. 3 are remaining, that's the share of the cousins. Now, this is the origin of the case. Now we solved the case, but we have numbers that are not matching. For instance, we have 3 grandmothers. Those 3 grandmothers, their share is 1. 1 is not divisible by 3. So we have to put the 3 on the side, the 3 of the 3 grandmothers. That is 3. Then the 5 brothers from the mother, their share is 2. 2 is not divisible by the 5. So we put the 5, the number of the heirs. So we have 3, we have 5. Now the 2 cousins, their share is also 3. 3 is not divisible by the 2. So we put the 2 of the cousins. Now we look at the numbers and we see 3, 5, and 2. 3, 5, and 2, we cannot do anything but multiply all of them. So we multiply 3 by 5, that's 15. by 2, that is 30. 30, we put it on the top of the case. Our case was from 6. We multiply it by 30. The conclusion now, the total is 180. 180. Since we multiplied the 6 by 30, we have to multiply every share. The 1/6, which is 1, we multiply it by 30. So it becomes 30. How many grandmothers we have? 3. So we divide the 30 by 3. That will come up to 10 shares for each grandmother. That's her share. So if a grandmother comes to you, one of the 3, she tells you how much I get, you tell her you get 10 out of 180. That's her share. Now we move next to the shares of the 5 brothers from the mother. They got 2 out of 6. We multiplied the 6 times 30, so we need to multiply the 2 times 30 as well, and that is 60. 60 divided by the 5 brothers from the mother, and that is, again, we have 5 brothers from the mother, they will get 12. Each one of them will get 12. That's his share. Then the cousins, and their share is 3. The 3 is multiplied by 30, and that is 90. We have 2 cousins, so each one of them will get 45. So again, that's the share, and that's the division of the first case. Now, the second case we have is mother, grandfather, and 8 sons. Mother, grandfather, and 8 sons. The mother, her share is 1/6. Why? Because we have children. The grandfather, he has also 1/6. He inherits with a fixed share because of the male offspring. So he gets 1/6 as well. What about the 8 sons? They get the remainder. So the case is out of 6. 1 for the grandfather, 1 for the mother, and 4 left for the 8 sons. Now the 4, is it divisible on the 8? No. So we need to put the number of the heirs, which is 8. But when we look at the 8 sons and 4, their share, there is connection between them. There is a common denominator. We can divide both of them by 4. So if we divide the 4 by 4, it will come 1. And if we divide the 8 by 4, it will come 2. So instead of putting the entire number of 8, we put only 2. We put only 2. If you put the entire number 8, that's okay, but inheritance, you have to find the least divisible number. That's the correct method. Now, if it is 90 or 180, 180 is twice as 90. The shares proportionally are the same, but in inheritance, to be more accurate, you need to find the least divisible number. And in this case, if you put 8, that will be fine, but then you need to divide it again. So from the beginning, put 2. So the case is out of 6 again. We multiply it by 2, and it becomes 12. 2 of the mother, because she had 1 earlier, 1/6, we multiplied it by 2, so it is 2 out of 12. And the grandfather, also 2 out of 12, he had 1/6. Now we multiplied it by 2, he has 2. 2 and 2, that is 4. How much is left out of the 12? 8. 8, they are the shares of the 8 sons, 1 for each. And that is the answer of the second case. The third case, we have a husband, daughter, grandmother, and 5 uncles. A husband, his share is 1/4 because of the existence of offspring. Mother, daughter, there is no mother here. Husband, daughter, grandmother, and 5 uncles. The daughter, she takes 1/2. She takes 1/2 because all the conditions are fulfilled. So we have 1/4 and we have 1/2. The grandmother, her share is 1/6. We already said that. So we have 1/4, 1/2, and 1/6. The 5 uncles, they share the remainder. They share the remainder. They are asaba. So 1/2, 1/4, and 1/6. What's their least common denominator? It is 12. So the case is out of 12. The 1/4 is 3. How it is 3? Look at the 4. How many times we multiplied it to reach the 12? 3 times. 4 and 4 and 4. That is 12. So it is 1 out of 4. We multiplied it another time, it became 2. We multiplied it another time, it became 3. That's one way. Another way, you divide the 12 by 4. 12 divided by 4, that is 3. Multiplied by 1, 3. That's the share of the husband. The share of the daughter, it is 1/2. Half the 12 is 6. Half the 12 is 6. So that's the share of the daughter. The grandmother, her share is 1/6, and that is 2. So we have now 3 and 6 and 2. 3 and 6 and 2, that is 11. How much is left for the uncles? 1. Only 1. So the 1 is not divisible by the 5. Everyone else, their share is divisible because they are only 1. But the uncles, their share is 1. The 1 is not divisible by the 5. So what do? We put the 5. Our case was out of 12. We multiply the 12 times 5. Times 5. It becomes 60. The 5 that we multiplied the entire case, we have to multiply also every share of the heirs. We have the husband. His share was 3. So multiply it by 5, that is 15. The share of the daughter, her share was 6. We multiply it by 5, that is 30. The grandmother, her share was 1 also. We multiply it by 5, and that is, her share was 2. 2 out of 12. We multiply it by 5, that is 10. Then the 5 uncles. The 5 uncles, their share was 1. We multiply that one by 5, and their share now is 5. For every uncle is 1. So that is the case. It was out of 12. It became out of 60. All right. Our next case is 3 wives, 5 daughters, and 7 full brothers. 3 wives, 5 daughters, and 7 full brothers. The 3 wives, they share 1/8. Why? Because there is offspring. Whether it's 1 or more, as long as there is children, they all share the 1/8. So that's their share, 1/8. The 5 daughters, they share 2/3. Their share is 2/3. The 7 full brothers, they take the remainder. So we have 1/8 and we have 2/3. The case is out of 24. That's the least common denominator. The 1/8 becomes 3 for the 3 wives. The 5 daughters, they have 2/3, and that is 16. 16. The 7 full brothers, how much is left? 16 and 3, the share of the 3 wives, that is 19. There is 5 left, and that is the share of the 7 full brothers. And now you look at them, you add them up, it is 24. That is the case. However, now the 3 wives, their share is 3. It's divisible, so we don't need to do anything. But the 16, the share of the 5 daughters, it's not divisible. 16 is not divisible by 5. What do? We put the 5 on the side. What about the share of the 7 full brothers? Their share is 5. 5 also is not divisible by the 7. So we need to put the 7. What did we put? We put 5 daughters, 7. 5 and 7. Can we do anything with them? No, we have to multiply them. So we multiply 5 by 7, and that is 35. What do we do with the 35? We'll put it on the top of the case. Our case was out of what? 24. We multiply 24 by 35. 24 times 35, it is 840. 840. Now this 24 is the adding of the 3 numbers. The 3, the share of the 3 wives, and the 16, the shares of the daughters, and the 5, the shares of the full brothers. So we need to multiply everyone in the case by the number that we multiplied the entire case, which is 35. So the 3, the shares of the 3 wives, we multiply it by 35, and that is 105. 105 for 3 wives. How much each one will take? We divide 105 by 3, it is 35. For every wife, she will get 35. Now, the 16, the shares of the 5 daughters, we multiply them by 35, and that comes to 560. 560 for 5 daughters. How much is that? It's 112. For every daughter, 112. Now, for the 7 full brothers, their share was 5. We multiplied it by 35. How much is that? That is 175. 175. Divided by 7 full brothers, that is 25 for each full brother. You add up the numbers for all the heirs, you will find it 840. 840. So this is how the calculation works. I want you now to stop, review those cases, those 4 cases, because we have 2 more cases. Only play and continue when you finish reviewing those 4 cases. Our 5th case, we have 3 grandmothers, 4 full sisters, 2 wives, and 7 cousins. Again, this is case number 5. 3 grandmothers, 4 full sisters, 2 wives, and 7 cousins. Next case, we have 2 grandmothers, 4 brothers from a mother, 6 uncles. Again, 2 grandmothers, 4 brothers from a mother, and 6 uncles. Go ahead, solve these cases and only play when you finish solving them. Check the numbers, make sure that the answer is correct, and then come back, because you will find the answer inshallah in front of you. Okay, I hope you already did those 2 cases. The first case, the 3 grandmothers, their share is 1/6. The share of the 3 grandmothers is 1/6. The 4 full sisters, they share 2/3. All the conditions are satisfied, so they share 2/3. The 3 wives, their share is 1/4 because there is no children. So their share is 1/4. Now, what about the 7 cousins? They take the remainder. If there is anything left, they take it. So we have 1/6, we have 2/3, and we have 1/4. 6, 3, and 4. What is the least common denominator? It is 12. So the case will be out of 12. The 1/6 is 2. And the 2/3, 12 divided by 3, that is 4. Multiplied by 2, that is 8. 8 is the 2/3 of the 12. 8 is the share of the 4 full sisters. The 2 wives, their share is 3. 3. Is there anything left? Let's add up the numbers. Now, the grandmother, the 3 grandmothers, their share is 2. 2 out of 12, that's 1/6. And the 2/3 is 8. 8 plus 2, that is 10. 10 out of 12. The 2 wives, their share is 1/4, that is 3. So the case is actually not 12, it is 13 now. There is nothing left. So we make the case out of 13. How is that possible? Again, the diminution is proportioned on every one. So the wives, instead of taking 4 or 3, instead of taking 3 out of 12, they are now taking 3 out of 13. The full sisters also, instead of taking 8 out of 12, they are taking now 8 out of 13. So the case is out of 13. 2 for the 3 grandmothers, 8 for the 4 full sisters, and 3 for the 2 wives. And there is nothing left for the cousins. Now, let's look at the shares. Are they divisible? 2 is the share of the 3 grandmothers. It's not divisible. So we put 3. The 4 full sisters, their share is 8. 8, is it divisible on 4? The answer is yes, it is. 8 is divisible on 4, so we don't need to do anything. The next share, 3 is the share of the 2 wives. 3 is the share of 2 wives. It's not divisible. We cannot tell 2 wives, each one of you will take 1.5. They need full number. So we put 2. We already put 3, and now we put 2. We multiply 3 by 2, that is 6. We take the 6, we put it on top of the case. Our case was originally from 12, it became out of 13. We multiplied the 13 times 6. Multiply 13 times 6, that will be 78. So our case will be out of 78. 78, that was the multiplication of the shares. The 2 out of 12, the 8 out of 12, and the 3 out of 12, which became out of 13. So the 2 that we multiply by 6, and that is 12. 12 divided by 3, that is 4. So the 3 grandmothers, each one of them will get 4. Now the 4 full sisters, their share was 8. The 8 was multiplied by 6, and that is 48. 48 we divided by 4, that is 12 for each full sister. Now the 3, the share of the 2 wives, we multiplied it by 6, that is 18. 18, when we divide it by 2, that is 9. 9 for each wife. Add up the numbers, you will find them 78, and the answer is correct. Always it's good to double check your answer. Add up the numbers. Do they come to the same conclusion that you had before or no? If it came to the same conclusion, then your answer is correct. Now the next case, we have the 2 grandmothers, the 4 brothers from the mother, and the 6 uncles. The 2 grandmothers, their share again is 1/6. They share 1/6. The 4 brothers from the mother, they share 1/3. They share 1/3. The 6 uncles, they have the remainder. So we have 1/3 and we have 1/6. 3 is included in the 6. So the case is out of 6. The case is out of 6. 1 for the 2 grandmothers, 2 for the 4 brothers from the mother, and 3 for the 6 uncles. And that is 6. So the shares of the 2 grandmothers is 1. That's their share. The 1 is not divisible by the 2. We put the 2. But for the 4 brothers from the mother, their share is 2. And they are 4. The 2 is not divisible by 4. However, there is connection here. Both of them could be divided by 2. So if we divide the 2 by 2, that is 1. And if we divide the 4 by 2, that is 2. So we put the 2. Now, if you put the 4 brothers from a mother, if you put the 4, that is also correct, but it will be unnecessary addition. And we don't want that. Again, you need to find the least correct number for every heir. So here, if you put 4, that is correct. Technically, no. But if you divide it on the 2, you put 2. That's the correct procedure. You put 2. So we already put 2 for the grandmothers. Now we put 2 for the brothers from the mother. Now we look at the 6 uncles. 6 uncles, their shares are 3. And they are 6. Again, the same thing. 6 could be divided by 3. So the result is 2. We put the 2. Now let's take a look. We put 2, 2, and 2. We don't multiply them. We need only one of them because one of them will achieve our goal with multiplication. So we take only one. 2, 2, 2. One of them is sufficient. The case was out of 6, so we put only 1, 2. We multiply the 6 by 2 and the result is 12. Now, the 1 that is the share of the 2 grandmothers became 2. So each grandmother will take 1. And the 2, the shares of the 4 brothers from the mother multiplied by 2 became 4. So each brother from the mother will take 1. The 3, the shares of the 6 uncles multiplied by 2 became 6. So each uncle will take 1. And that is the correct answer. You see, we did it and with the least correct number, and everyone got his share. You add up the number, they add up to 12, and that is the correct answer. So make sure, again, review those cases, and inshallah next time we will have calculations with money, and that is the fruit of the learning of the science, the inheritance. The fruit is to be able to give the rightful owners their shares, and that's what we will be inshallah next session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.